On a quiet afternoon in a small American town, the grocery store was filled with the soft hum of carts rolling across tiled floors, the chatter of neighbors exchanging quick greetings, and the beeping of the scanner at the checkout counter. The store wasn't particularly busy, but the people inside carried with them the invisible weight of their daily struggles, their hopes, and their quiet resilience. At the far end of the checkout line, a young woman stood with her baby in her arms. She held the child close to her chest, gently rocking him, trying to soothe his soft whimpers. Her cardigan looked a little worn, the sleeves stretched from years of use, but the way she held her baby spoke of warmth and fierce love. On the conveyor belt before her lay just a few items, bare essentials. A can of baby formula, some bread, milk, and a small bag of apples. Nothing extravagant, just enough to get by. Next to those items, carefully stacked, were coins. Nickels, dimes, and quarters, counted slowly and placed in small piles. The cashier glanced at the coins and then at the young woman. The total for her groceries blinked on the register screen, just a little more than what she had managed to put together. The woman's eyes flickered between the amount and her stack of coins, her lips pressing together as she realized she was short. The baby stirred and let out a faint cry, and she instinctively tightened her hold, whispering soothing words, though inside her heart pounded with worry. She had walked all the way to the store, determined to buy the formula because her baby needed it. She had skipped meals herself the past 2 days just to save money, but even then, she had come up short. Behind her in line, a man watched quietly. He wore a denim jacket and had a rugged but kind face. He had only come to the store to pick up a few items for dinner, but as he stood there, he noticed the woman's trembling hands, the way she counted her coins again, hoping maybe she had miscalculated. He noticed the protective way she held her baby, and something stirred in him. A memory, a recognition of struggle, and the undeniable urge to help. The woman looked up at the cashier, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. I don't think I have enough. Maybe I'll just take the bread and the milk, she said softly, her voice carrying both shame and resignation. But before the cashier could respond, the man in the denim jacket stepped forward. He placed his own groceries aside and gently said, "Don't worry about it. I'll cover the rest." The woman blinked in surprise, her eyes widening as if she hadn't heard him right. "Oh no, no, I can't let you do that," she whispered. But the man smiled kindly, shaking his head. "You don't have to let me. I want to. Your baby needs this, and that's all that matters." There was sincerity in his voice, the kind that left no room for argument. He handed a few bills to the cashier, who gave him a knowing look, one of quiet admiration. The register beeped, the transaction went through, and the can of formula, along with the other groceries, were placed gently into a bag. Tears welled up in the young mother's eyes as she looked at him. "Thank you," she said, her voice breaking. "You don't know what this means to me." He shrugged, though his own eyes glistened. "I know enough. I know what it's like to need help and to hope someone cares enough to notice. Take care of that little one. That's what matters." The baby, as if understanding the moment, calmed in his mother's arms, his tiny hand clutching her sweater. The woman clutched the bag of groceries, holding it tightly as though it was more than food, it was dignity, relief, and hope wrapped in a paper sack. As she left the store, she turned back once more, offering the man a grateful smile. He nodded, then picked up his own groceries, feeling lighter than when he had walked in. But the story didn't end at that grocery counter. The young woman went home that night with tears still in her eyes, though now they were tears of gratitude. She fed her baby, who eagerly drank the formula, finally content and full. Watching her child's small chest rise and fall in peaceful sleep, she whispered to herself, "There are still good people in this world." The kindness she had received became a seed planted deep in her heart, one that would grow and bloom later in ways she couldn't have imagined. Months passed. Life was still hard, but the memory of that day gave her strength on the toughest nights. Whenever she felt the world was too cruel, she thought of the stranger with the denim jacket and how his simple act of compassion had carried her through. One rainy evening, she found herself walking past a bus stop. A man sat there in soaked clothes, shivering. His shoes were muddy, and his tired eyes stared blankly at the ground. The young woman recognized that look, the look of someone holding onto hope by a thread. Without hesitating, she walked up to him and handed him the umbrella she had been carrying. "Here, you need this more than I do," she said softly. The man looked up, startled, then slowly accepted it, his lips parting in disbelief. Thank you. Thank you, he stammered. She smiled, recalling the warmth she had once felt from another's generosity. Don't mention it. Someone helped me once when I needed it the most. I'm just passing it on. That single act rippled outward. The man with the umbrella would later tell his daughter about the kindness of strangers, teaching her by example that compassion isn't weakness, it's strength. She, in turn, would grow up to volunteer at shelters, offering meals to those who couldn't afford them, remembering her father's story every time she served a plate. The kindness of one stranger in a grocery store had ignited a chain of compassion, weaving invisible threads between people who might never meet but would always be connected through their humanity. Years later, the young mother's child, now grown, would sit in a classroom and listen as his teacher asked the students to share something that shaped their view of the world. The boy, with a gentle smile, raised his hand and told them, "When I was a baby, someone showed my mom kindness when she thought she had nothing left. I don't remember it, but I carry it with me every day. That's why I believe in helping people, even when no one's watching." The classroom grew quiet, and even the teacher blinked back tears. Because kindness, no matter how small, has the power to echo through time, touching lives long after the original act. The man in the denim jacket never knew the full impact of what he had done that day in the store. He never saw the umbrella being given away, never saw the shelter meals being served, never heard the boy's words in the classroom. But his kindness lived on, woven into the fabric of countless lives. That's the beauty of compassion, it doesn't stop at the moment it's given. It multiplies, spreads, and becomes part of the world's heartbeat. And so, a simple gesture at a grocery store became more than just a helping hand. It became a story, a lesson, and a reminder. In a world that can often feel cold and heavy, kindness is the light that keeps us all going. Because when we give freely, not for recognition, not for reward, but simply because it's right, we create ripples that move through generations. That is the quiet power of humanity. That is the tale of kindness, sacrifice, hope, and the unbreakable thread that connects us all.